right, so I got my first day of not only waves, but wouldn't you know it, I've got to paddle against them. And the whole trip in, I was with the wind, but the wind was almost non-existent. And now, for joy, I've got a few white caps out here, but this Bell canoe just slices through them. And in fact, I don't even ride up on the waves. It feels almost like I'm on flat water with no waves, given the amount of slice that this canoe can do. So happy with the performance of the canoe, not happy with the wind I have to deal with, even on a cloudy, drizzly day like this when you wouldn't expect wind at all. So it just dawned on me that some of you might want to know how I set up my canoe for traveling. This is a 16-foot solo canoe, but it's not unlike any canoe that you might paddle solo. So just so you see here, I'm near shore here, ready for a portage. There is the front. I've got my my water sandals on, and I've got, oh, just hit a rock. I've got my kind of wet map in a case there, and I've got some water and some fishing lures. I got my fishing rod ready at the go, and then that's just my food barrel. That's it. And then behind me, I don't know if you can see, I can't even see what you're seeing, but anyway, that is the only things that are behind me are my carry-yoke and the rest of my stuff, my dry bag. It's a seal line dry bag, and it's a big one. It's I believe it's 110 liters, so it fits nicely in here. My beam on this canoe, the widest part, is 22 inches, so it's not that wide, but it fits nicely anyway. And that's it. Other than that, all I have is my trusty bent shaft paddle sitting here on my lap, and I'm ready to go. And by the way, I'll get into another video sometime soon regarding the some of my best tips for canoeing, and as it relates to portaging, and some of the tips that I have found really helpful, and I've just learned them on this trip. So stay tuned for that. All right, this is just a quick one video shot here of all my gear for a week. So as you can see, I've got my paddle over there. I've got a fishing rod lying right across the paddle there. There's my map. There's my fishing lures. Just got a water bottle that can be attached to the food barrel, which is right there. And that's my 110 liter dry sack. And then right on top of my food barrel right there, I just have some valuable stuff that I need right away, like food while I'm on the water. And I need insulin for diabetes, and a couple other things. I've got my keys and wallet there as well. It's a waterproof waist bag. It's bigger than a fanny pack, but smaller than a knapsack. So that's pretty much it, other than my carry-yoke, which is removable, and I just attached that to the canoe, getting ready to go on my portage. I have included in the back of my boat, I've got my emergency kit there. It's just a flashlight and a throw rope and a whistle, but I have a whistle attached to my life jacket anyway. So anyway, here we go. That is the portage. So I read a sentiment recently on a forum online, and a canoeist said, you know, the best thing about canoe tripping in the fall is that all the bugs have gone back to hell where they belong. That resonates with me perfectly. That's one of the things that bugs me, excuse the pun, but bugs me more than anything, I think, on a canoe trip, is bugs in the quiet, dark, moist forest or the sunny middle of the lake. You got your horse flies and deer flies, and then, you know, in the forest you got your mosquitoes and black flies, and they all seem to be around at the same time in many places. So anyway, on this trip I have not experienced any bugs. I've seen a few, they haven't bothered me. I've seen like 2 mosquitoes in 4 days, and I think about that many black flies as well. I'm surprised there's still black flies up here. Usually they go away at the end of spring, but I did see a few here, and that's it. No horse flies or deer flies. Love it. All right, here's my number one tip for you guys. Canoeing tip. This one's profound. Ready for it? Always try to paddle with the wind. Okay, all right. I'm being a bit of a jackarse on that one. Wouldn't that be nice? Seriously though, guys, seriously, my number one, I guess, portaging rule, and this is serious. When you guys think of what to bring with you for a trip, you hear a lot online about single carry portages, and that's great. If you're strong enough and your canoe is light enough and you're hardcore enough, go ahead and pack everything you need into one bag on your shoulders and then canoe on top and away you go. For me, that's too restrictive. You've got little things you need to carry, like fishing rods and your tackle box and a water bottle and maybe you know, just an extra knick-knack or two, like a, I don't know, another life jacket or something. You can't carry any of that when you're carrying a canoe, because when you're carrying a canoe, you've got your hands on the gunnels typically. I do 2 carries, and the reason that that's no big deal is because most portages that I found in most canoe areas are anywhere from as little as in the single digits, like 80 meters, to maybe 500 meters. And I just finished a portage right behind me there, and it was 480 meters, so half a kilometer. It took me a grand total of about 25 minutes doing 2 trips. And in 2 trips, just makes a whole lot more sense. The return on investment that I get from packing everything into one sack is not good enough. It's too much stress and not enough savings of time usually, right? And I'm using a 110 liter dry bag and then a fairly sizable food barrel, and then I've got little stuff, like I've got a safety kit, I've got fishing tackle, I've got my paddle. I have things that I need to carry with my hands. So I do one trip with my food barrel and with my dry sack and all the stuff I can carry in my hands, and then on the second trip I use the slightly lighter food barrel and the canoe itself. So that's just my, now this is my opinion, all right? There are some of you that are hardcore you know, wilderness canoeists that just say, no man, I'm gonna do the one carry, and that's fine. It's just my opinion. My opinion. Headwinds. I love headwinds. Develops character. This is where I'm using my switching paddle technique, because it doesn't slow me down with corrective strokes. But I'll tell you, I would never do it tandem, because my poor wife's back would be soaked. What timing. I had no waves to help me going in on this trip, but boy, I got white caps that are preventing me from going home. Yes, builds character, that's it. We'll go with that. All right, so I'm finally out of white caps into slightly calmer water, and I'm sort of going with the wind now. First time today in about 4 hours of paddling. Guys, I gotta tell you this, something really amazing. There is a huge sea monster, no, just kidding. Okay, I just needed your attention. This is kind of important. Guys, I've been teaching you, actually if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I have said that I'm on a journey of both learning as well as teaching. And today I've had to eat humble pie because I've learned something from Bruce Heyer, who's the, oh great, now it's actually rainy, oh boy. He is the owner of Wabakimi Fishing and Canoe Outfitters. And as I was leaving for this trip, just like leaving his lodge, I was mentioning that it would be a bit of a tricky thing for me to do a J-stroke like I'm doing right now with a bent shaft paddle and a solo canoe where you're sitting in the middle and there is, it's just harder to steer. And he kind of looked at me like I was an amateur, and he kind of goes, oh, I never switch, or I never use the J-stroke when I'm soloing. And I looked at him like, no, Bruce, not you, because I have spoken disparagingly in the past of the technique of flipping your paddle back and forth like this. Okay, in my experience, the only people I see do this have been, you know, partiers with, you know, a case full of beer in their canoe off the end of the dock looking for a good time. And so when Bruce said that he flips back and forth, I thought, oh no, Bruce, have you fallen to the way of the amateur? Well, on the contrary, actually, Bruce is one guy who knows more about canoeing than I do. I found that out. And I just say that because I've been doing this for 40 years, so I've learned a few things, but I never flip back and forth, usually because I'm sitting in the back of a canoe at the bow or at the stern, and doing the flip will soak the back of my wife, and she's not going to, you know, look very highly upon that technique. So I just never do. I always do the J-stroke. But Bruce said that he used to be a racer, and a quite accomplished one at that, and he always flipped back and forth. That's what racers do, and there's a reason. That is simply because it's more efficient. You in less than a second you can go from one side to the other, and it's all forward momentum. So I thought, okay, whatever, that's fine, but I still think it's a little bit amateur-y. And then today I had to deal with whitecaps. And whitecaps are not my friend, and I don't mind going with them on a bit of an angle, but today I had 4 hours of fighting into whitecaps, and I found the only way to make any real progress into that kind of headwind was to do the back and forth flip. So it was effective, and I did make better time than doing the wasting time about 2 seconds or so, maybe 3 on a corrective J-stroke like this. So I'll still use the J-stroke when I'm going with the wind, and or when there's like no wind at all and it's nice and glassy and everything. I like that. But as far as trying to make headway into a headwind, flip back and forth, learn the technique, and you'll be better for it. Keep in mind, that's only for a solo canoeist, or maybe if you're in the bow. Don't do it if you're in the stern. You're going to tick off your bow paddler, right? Tip of the day. I am about 10 minutes away from my takeout point. I've been in a downpour, medium to heavy rain for about 2 hours, and I can't even get more wet, so it doesn't even matter. But it's been an exhilarating trip, and I'm thrilled with my Bell Magic canoe. At first it was kind of tippy, and today it was taking on whitecaps like it was nothing. It wasn't tippy at all. Maybe it's just me getting used to it, but man, overall it was not a bad trip. It's only 4 days, and it was gloomy the whole trip, but the lighting was good for making a video, and only on the last day did it actually rain while I was in the boat. And you know, most of my tent isn't dry because it had no time to dry overnight, and my fly, or tarp I should say, is wet as well. So it's just about time that I get back on this trip. From here on out, if I had to stay out here, it'd be kind of miserable. So This is incredible. It's got its own sort of solitude and beauty even in the rain. You know, it's hard for me to think that I'd say that, but it really does. It's just this mist in the distance, and you can really see the points of land sticking out because they really recede in the layers of fog and rain. You know, I'm kind of sad that I have to leave this in the next day or so and start my 2-day journey back home, but well, yeah, all good things come to an end. All right, let's push on to the actual takeout point. Alright, so I did make it back to my put-in point, and guess what's happening now? Beautiful sunshine. Here I am back at the lodge, my starting point about half an hour or so from the put-in point and takeout point of my journey. This is the Wabakimi Fishing and Canoe Outfitting Lodge, run by Bruce Heyer and his wife Margaret. They've been wonderful, gracious hosts, and we hope to be able to come back here sometime in the future. I don't know if that's even going to be possible. It's quite a drive, but for some of you, you know, a once-in-a-lifetime trip like this would be perfect. So guys, thanks for watching my attempt at a wilderness trip. It was only 4 days long, and every single day that I was there, it rained, and then as we see now, the sun is peeking through, and it's looking to be a gorgeous evening here. I'm going to go down to the dock in a second and do some fishing, and then Bruce has invited me inside to have some split pea and ham soup. So I'll look forward to that, and then I'll be heading home tomorrow morning at the break of dawn. All right, guys, and until the next time I come up with a video like this, which I hope will be very, very soon, get out there, enjoy God's creation, and keep on looking up.